All right, so good afternoon. My name is Tilly Napati-Polar. I'm the elections manager for Thurston County. Welcome to Thurston County's virtual candidate workshop. A couple of housekeeping rules. Again, if we could ask you to mute yourself, that would be greatly appreciated as the facilitator and the presenters go through their presentation. Please use the chat section that is, if you see on your screen there in the Zoom. We will be monitoring the chat by staff. Post your questions on there. Your questions will be asked during opportunities during the presentation. So it is real important that you add your questions there. We do have a facilitator who is monitoring our chat. And then lastly, this section is being recorded. We will get this recording out on our website for you to use as a recap or a refresher as we get closer to candidate filing. With that said, I'm going to turn the floor over to Thurston County Auditor Mary Hall.
So welcome and congratulations on your decision to run for office. You know, as an elected official myself, I know what a commitment public service is and what it means to make the decision to run for office. It's very humbling to put your name on a ballot and to ask citizens for their support and their vote. And yet there is no greater honor, in my opinion, than public service and contributing to the operation and policies that govern our society. So again, congratulations on your decision to run. I hope you find it to be a positive experience. We have a really great program for you tonight. So I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. I want to introduce staff. So Jamie Davidsmeyer, if you could wave, he is my voter outreach specialist. He's going to talk about the candidate guide, filing week, the ever important voters pamphlet, and voter registration drives. Lynette Milton is our election supervisor, and she's going to run you through the online candidate portal, so how you actually file and how you submit your voter pamphlet online. And Scott Healey is a filer assistance specialist with the PDC, which is very important when you run for office. So please make sure you stay for that because that is one of the most important things. Carissa Owens is going to be our moderator and monitor all of the chat box questions. So with that, I will turn it over to Jamie.
So welcome to the 2021 Candidate Filing Workshop. We will be covering a couple of things tonight. I'm the Voter Outreach Coordinator, first of all. I am the resource when it comes to anything and everything for the voter pamphlet. I put that together, so if you have any questions about that, let me know. If you have any other questions about filing for office, you can contact me as well. This is one of my favorite things to do as an outreach coordinator is to help people navigate the systems and, you know, make it easier for you guys. So like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions. My contact information should be in the chat and it'll be at the end of this presentation as well. So are you ready to file? Tonight we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the candidate guide. We're going to talk about filing week. We're going to talk about voter pamphlet deadlines and then some additional candidate information. So first thing we want to talk about is our website, thurstonvotes.org. I'm going to say that a few times, thurstonvotes.org. I learned a long time ago that repeating is a good way to help people remember. So thurstonvotes.org is our website. All the topics we'll cover tonight will be available there. There's downloads. You can find information on which offices are open for election, filing fees, forms, other information, and of course, links to the Public Disclosure Commission, the PDC. Some information will be there. And then this presentation we're recording it and we'll put it up on our thurstonvotes.org here later. All right, so the first thing you want to look at here if you're planning on running for office is our candidates and jurisdictions page. That's where a lot of the helpful information is going to live, especially when you're talking about filing. There'll be a couple other things we'll go over as we go through this, but that's the first button you're going to want to click. when you get there, this is what it'll look like. And there is a section here called Becoming a Candidate. We've circled it there in red. And if you click on that, it'll take you to this page. And the red arrow there is pointing to our 2021 candidate guide. This is your toolkit for filing for office. There's a ton of information here. I couldn't go over every single piece of information on this guide. Otherwise, we'd be here for hours. It's got it's an A to Z toolkit. It's got everything from, how to file, when voter pamphlet deadlines are, voter pamphlet formatting guidelines, where and how you can place your political signs, who to contact if you have questions, media contacts, lots of stuff. So you're going to want to check that out. It's a PDF file. If you have any problems with it, again, just contact our office. So the 2021 candidate guide, a little more in depth. Like I said, it's got all those. You can read that slide there. It's got election dates, anything you can think of. And if it doesn't have it, call us and we'll get you the information. One thing I wanted to talk about here is this matchbacks and voter data. So beginning this year, the voter data requests have to go to the Secretary of State's office. And the contact information is on page 19 of the candidate guide. Again, you can contact our office, but the Secretary of State's office, sos.wa.gov, that's where you're going to have to go to find information on voter data requests. However, matchbacks, those come from our office. And what a matchback report is if you are going to be out campaigning during, especially during election season, you are going to want to spend your time as efficiently as you can. If you get a matchback report, that'll tell you who has already returned their ballot. And that way you don't have to send them an email, cold call them, go to their door. They've already returned their ballot, so they can't vote for you anymore. So unless they already have. And so that it'll just save you time. That comes from our office. So if you have any questions about that, contact us directly. And then, like I said, there's, key filing dates, filing for office, local voter pamphlets. The 2021 candidate guide is going to be a big help for you. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about candidate qualifications. For all the offices open for election this year are nonpartisan, which means that 3 or more candidates have to file to trigger a primary election. So if only 2 candidates file, it just goes to the general. But yeah, so if 3 or more file, we'll have a primary. For Port of Olympia Commissioner, you must reside or be a registered voter in the district, in the Port of Olympia district. And then in the primary, only voters within the district will be able to vote. And in the general, all voters in the county will vote. Again, if you have any questions, contact us. When you are filing for office, you can, so we go over these qualifications because when you file for office, we're not the elections police. We're not going to track you down and make sure that you have met all of these qualifications. However, you will be signing a declaration of candidacy to file for office, and on that declaration of candidacy, it will ask you, it'll say this is legally binding that you're telling us the truth. You attest that all these things are true, and that is so. It's important that you are honest, because if for some reason it came out that you weren't and you had attested to that, you would have committed a crime. So take a look at the form. We'll go over it here in a little bit, and make sure that you do meet these qualifications. So for cities and towns, for cities, you must have been a resident for over a year. You must be a registered voter at the time of your filing. And then for municipal court judges, you also have to be a registered voter in the county and be a member of the Washington State Bar. For towns, it's a little different. You just have to be a registered voter at the time of filing. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about candidate qualifications for school director and fire commissioner. They're a little different. Centralia School District candidates will file with Lewis County. And then for everyone, you must live in the school director district, except for Centralia and Griffin. They're a little different. They have a different kind of school board, so their rules are a little different. And then you must be a registered voter. And when you're filing, you need to be sure which director district you live in. And on our website, we have a page, and I'll show you in just a minute, for district and precinct maps, and that'll help you know which director district you live in. For fire commissioners, you must be a registered voter, you must live within the district, and for fire authorities, candidates must live in the sub-district. Let's see, I think that's Southeast Thurston Fire Authority and West Thurston Fire Authority. They have sub-districts, so you have to live within the correct sub-district to file for that office. So again, this district and precincts map page is on the candidates and campaigns and jurisdictions page. It's got a lot of great information. I'm going to try to switch over to that now. Looks like I can't pull that up right at the moment. I'll come back to that. But basically on our website, there are, when you click on this link, it'll open there'll be a list of different precinct maps and district maps. If you scroll down, you'll see a list of the school board districts, and there are two different kinds of maps. One is a PDF map, and one is a Google Earth map. So if you've got Google Earth, you can click on that map. It'll open in Google Earth, and you can, once you get there, you can type in your address, and it'll show you which district you live in. Otherwise, the PDF maps are incredibly detailed. If you find your street, it'll show you which districts you live in. Again, I'll pull that up towards the end here. All right, so the next thing to note, we are about to move. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of chaos going on here. We are in the process of moving around the corner from our current office to 2400 Evergreen Park Drive Southwest. If you can see the photos, you'll realize that that is the old Twin Star Credit Union building. And we will be offering some drive-through services there. In fact, when we get to talking about filing here in just a minute, that's one thing you can do through our drive-through. So we also have a larger lobby there. It'll be easier for us to social distance and provide services as safely as we can. So that starts on April 30th. It's the end of next week. So just be aware of that. Again, we're just around the corner. There'll be lots of signs. You should be able to see it. If you need to come visit us for any reason, that's where we'll be. So let's move on. We're going to talk about filing week now. Filing week is May 17th through the 21st. The only difference is that there's three ways to file. And the only difference is that mail-in filing begins on Monday, May 3rd and ends on Friday, May 21st. Mail-in filing must be received, not postmarked, but received in our office by 4:30 p.m. On Friday, May 21st. Postmarks do not count. So that your declaration of candidacy has to be received by us by May 21st. In-person and drive-through filing starts Monday, May 17th at 8 a.m. and ends Friday, May 21st at 4:30 p.m. Those are our business hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. And we're located at the old Twin Star building, 2400 Evergreen Park Drive Southwest. And then the filing week really begins on May 17th. That's the online filing. It starts at 9 a.m. and there will be a link on our webpage that you can go to and click, and it'll take you right to it. It absolutely must be done by 4 p.m. on the 21st. That's another small difference. That's in an RCW, so we can't give you any wiggle room on that. That's not up to us. And the website will cut you off if you're not done filing. So keep that in mind. File early. That's going to be your best bet. We recommend filing online. Lynette will go into that here in a little bit. You'll see it's a straightforward process, and if you have problems with it, you can call us and we can help you out with it. We'd hate for your Wi-Fi to go down at 3:30 on Friday afternoon, so make sure that if you're going to file online, go ahead and start early. Another thing is that all filings must have full payment of the filing fee in order to be considered a valid filing and appear on the ballot. Online, you can make a payment via MasterCard or Visa or American Express. You can also choose online to pay with cash or a check, but you'll have to bring that into the auditor's office, obviously. So that's when you can use our drive-through services or our come into our lobby. That has to be received by 4:30 p.m. on Friday, May 21st. The last day to withdraw, and there's another form, and it's available on our website and the Secretary of State's website. It is due. The last day to withdraw is Monday, May 24th. Filing fees are non-refundable, so if you file for office and change your mind, we can't reimburse your filing fee to you. On that note, be vigilant about which position you're filing for. If you want to run for City Council Olympia Position 2, make sure you click on Position 2 and not 3 by accident. Because if that one's open and you click the wrong one, we can't refund your filing fee. So you would have to file a withdrawal of candidacy and then file a new application. All right, so next let me run through that declaration of candidacy real quick. You'll find it online. It's on our website. And you can, if you want to file by mail, you can print it off, fill it out, and you can send it to us or bring it to us. But it has to be in by 4:30 p.m. on May 21st. All right. So yeah, get started now. I've said it a couple of times. Lynette will say it again. Getting started now is really important. First thing you want to check, check your voter registration. It only takes a few minutes to file for office. Once you've got that done, once your voter registration's up to date, if it already is, great. It only takes a few minutes. What takes the majority of time filing will be the lead up to filing week, like getting your picture. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes, getting your statements together. So like I said, you want to update your registration first. That's how the system is going to look you up and allow you to choose what offices are available to file for. So if you think you're eligible to file for an office, make sure, but it doesn't appear on your candidate, on your list, which Lynette will go over shortly. One of the reasons is it might be, you might not have the right address in your voter registration. On election, if you want to start thinking about what messages you're going to relay in your candidate statement, start looking through photos. We're going to need a current photo and a statement and a biography for your candidate filing. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about that in just a moment. Those are the things that'll probably take you a little bit longer. The actual filing process is not that time consuming. Remember, this information that you provide for us will be published. It'll be public. So start thinking about what you want to be your contact information. Some people get a new email address. Some people get a new website. It's up to you, but make sure you're starting to think about that. All right, candidate order on the ballot. So nonpartisan races with 3 or more candidates will appear on the primary ballot. The exceptions would be Parks and Rec and cemetery districts. They do not appear in the primary election. There will be a lot drawing to determine candidate order Friday, May 21st, shortly after 4:30 p.m. So right after filing weekends, we've got all the filings. We will do a lot draw. You're welcome to attend. We'll be live streaming it on our Facebook page. And it's a really highly technical process. We put some numbers on a ping pong ball and put those in a hat, a bucket, and we draw those out. And so let's say 5 people file for one office. We'll put 1 through 5 on ping pong balls. And if, number 4 is picked first, then whoever the 4th person is on that list will be the first person on the ballot. The top 2 successful primary election candidates will move forward to the general election, and then the order on the general election ballot is determined by how many votes were received in the primary. And if you have any questions about that, again, shoot me an email. Be able to help you out. All right, let's move on to voters pamphlet. I've previewed it a few times now. Let's get into it. The statements and photos are due by May 28th at 4:30 p.m. Just want to say that first. It's very important that you get all your information to us by May 28th at 4:30 p.m. We publish photos and statements the same way that you send them to us. So we're not going to fix your grammatical errors or your spelling errors or anything like that. So make sure that you are proofreading those, getting them in the best shape that you can. Your statement and photo will appear the same in both the primary and general. We don't give you an opportunity to, there's no opportunity to fix that, to change anything between those two. So whatever you submit for the primary will go to the general. The deadline to submit, again, photos and statements, it's Friday, May 28th, and that's for everybody, and it's got to be in by 4:30 p.m. A couple of things. We have a biography section now. It was new last year, and it's probably new for a lot of you guys if you're returning candidates, or if this is your first time. It's definitely new. The biography is 100 words, and it's divided among 4 categories, not 100 words for each category. So, you can think of it as 25 words for each, but really, it's up to you. Lynette will show you a tool that'll help here in a little bit. Your statement should be about you and not about your opponent. Remember, talk about what you want to do, not defend against what they don't, what they're against. Write it about yourself. A couple of things. It's got to be the statement has to be 200 words or less. You can only use 4 paragraphs. Do not use lists or bullets, and the only emphasis you can use is italics. If you use all caps or bold or underlining, we're going to convert it to italics. So for emphasis, just use italics. We're going to use Microsoft Word to count your words. So do make sure that you have some kind of word counting program that you can use, or word processing program that'll count your words for you. For photos, please submit JPEG, TIFF format, no smaller than 1200 pixels by 1500 pixels, preferably at 300 DPI. It has to be at least 300. And it should just be your head and shoulders, a frontal view, just like you would for like an ID badge or anything like that. No funny hats, crazy shirts, no uniforms, robes. This is just a picture so that people know what you look like. It's not supposed to be a statement for your to go with your statement.
Jamie, can I break in for 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to point out, Auditor Mary Hall made a statement in the chat just to make sure everybody hears it, that the rule that your statement has to be about yourself is actually written in state law.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah. So we mail our voter pamphlets to the military and overseas voters, and those go out 45 days before the primary, which is why our deadline for submission is right after filing week. So again, May 28th, 4:30 p.m., that they have to be in, photos and statements and biographies. It's to your advantage to have an email account. That's how we communicate mostly. They're free. Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail. That's how I'll send out proofs, things. You will get a proof of your statement and photo and biography. It will just be for you to confirm that what we are publishing is what you sent us. Yeah, it won't. Yeah. All right. So,
I also have a clarifying question in
Yeah,
chat. She said, just to clarify, biography is 100 words and statement is 200 words rather than 200 being the total.
right. Yeah. So it's 100 words for biography and 200 or less for statement. Yep. All right. So yeah, again, go ahead, get that information together now. Don't wait. And then when you do submit it to us, if you don't use the online tool, if you don't use the VoteWA system to submit your statement and photo, which Lynette will show you shortly, please submit it to the Pamphlet email address. It's pamphlet@co.thurston.wa.us. That is anything related to Pamphlet, send it there. All right, so we talked earlier about the candidates and jurisdictions page, but you're also going to want to look at this data and research page, which you'll see circled on the far right. We provide candidates and jurisdictions page for you. The data and research page, this is where you're going to find your current elected officials, recount information, information about the canvassing board. Also to note, down in our popular section, you'll see election archives. That is basically everything you'd want to know about elections in Thurston County since 1985. Includes official results, precinct breakdowns, certification, voters pamphlets, and sample ballots and statistics. If you're looking for ideas for how to write your statement or your biography, check out our elections archive. There won't be a lot of biographies in there, but you can see last year's, see what they did. And but there's tons of statements in there. So if you want to get a feel for how a statement's written, go look through the archive. All right, let's talk about this Washington State voter registration form. This is an overview. I'll go into these circled sections here in just a second. But you might want to register voters while you're out campaigning. That's great. That's good for us, good for you. The way that you would do this is to have them fill out this form. You can get them from us. You can get them from, sometimes the libraries will have them. They usually do. You can get it online. But if they do fill this out, make sure that you collect all the information that will go over here before you get it back from the voter. There are a couple of things that if we don't get, we can contact them, but we'll go over that in detail. First thing is the first requirement is personal information. We will need a name, a date of birth, a residential address, and if they don't have a residential address, that's okay. They can use what's called a non-traditional address and provide a park they stay at, or even the cross streets where they spend most of their times. But in order to do this non-traditional address, they must provide a mailing address. That could just be general delivery at Olympia, Washington, 98501, etc. But they do need to have a mailing address. They need to be able to check a post office at least every 30 days to pick up their mail. Otherwise, they can't get a ballot. They can't return it to us. So yeah, make sure that we get that information. Birth date's really important. The next is we need to make sure that the people who give you these forms back have checked these boxes, especially the citizenship question. And then, yeah, so make sure that, again, this is section 2 on the form. Just make sure that they've checked that box. Down at the bottom of the page, there's a declaration. And this is very similar to the Declaration of Candidacy. It just says, all the information I'm providing you is true. And then make sure that they sign it, because that signature is what we will use to prove their identity, check their signature against when they sign their ballot. Also, we will need an identification, which can either be Washington State driver's license, a permit, or an ID number, or if you don't have that, the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. If they don't have it handy, that's okay. This is one of those fields. Still return the form to us, and we can track that down if we have to. All right, so again, that's the registration form, those circled areas, and then the blue arrow are the fields that I just went over. If you have any questions, again, just shoot me an email. The new voters, if you do hand these out, they can return them directly to us, either by bringing them to our office or mailing them to us. On the back of the form, there's usually instructions. If you print it off, you might not get that page, but it's there online. If you collect them from us, they need to be returned to us within 5 business days of the voter signing the form. They need to be returned to an election official at least 8 days prior to an election. If it's 7 days prior to the election and they want to register to vote, they can, but they need to come into the office or a voting center. Or if it's the general election, they can use our student hub, which is a new program that we have with the Evergreen State College. It's a statewide program to help provide access to elections. And it is we'll have information about when that'll be open. We're still kind of negotiating those hours and things like that. So check our website if you have questions, let me know. But they can register same day at, again, our office, a voting center, or at the college hubs. And that is available, same day registration is available till 8 p.m. on election night. All right, so I went through that rather quickly. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. That's my personal email and my work email and my cell phone number. If you need to get a hold of me and you can't get a hold of me on my phone, call the office. That's the second phone number there, the 786-5408. That's just the main line here. A lot of experts in this office, a lot of people with a lot of knowledge. A lot of people will be able to help you, but if you can't get a hold of me, they'll be able to track me down. So if you have any questions, again, feel free, shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm going to turn it over to Lynette, but thank you for attending. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and good luck on your campaign.
My name is Lynette Melton, and like Mary Hall had said, I am the election supervisor here, and I'm going to be going over the online candidate filing portal with you, as well as submitting your voter pamphlets on the portal as well. I'm actually just want to talk about a few things real quick, and then I'm just going to go right into the actual filing. So this is an actual test environment. So this is pretty much what you're going to see. There might be some small changes as soon as filing week comes up, but I don't think it's anything that will be too noticeable. But a couple of things: when you're filing online, you're going to want to, if you can use Google Chrome, that's one of the best browsers to use to do this. Also keep in mind that this, like Jamie said, it opens at 9 o'clock on Monday, and then it's going to run 24 hours a day until that 4 o'clock deadline on that Friday of filing week. So you can do this at any time in the comfort of your own home. If you don't have to make a trip to our new location and worry about parking and traffic, it's, you can do it in the comfort of your home in this nice online age. As well as for filing, when you come in here, you can file and pay by Visa, MasterCard, or American Express if there is a filing fee, but quite a few offices that are up for this year don't have a filing fee, so it's pretty easy for you just to go ahead and file at home. So I have a couple of volunteers that I can use names, so I'm going to be filing Emmett O'Connell. And one thing to note, when you're going in here to file, you have to enter your name how it is as you're registered to vote. So for example, if you go by Bill, but you're registered as William, it's important that you put William in here. And if you're uncertain on how you are registered to vote, you could go to votewa.gov at any time from now until filing week and log in and figure out how that is. You could also give us a call simply, and we'll just look you up by your date of birth. Again, another thing to think about on last names. So Emmett happens to be an O'Connell. That's why I asked him if I could use his name. And he's actually registered in our system this way. He's not registered as O''O'Connell. So just some things to think about when you're entering your name. So we're going to go ahead and enter his information. And then I'm just going to hit this button right here to log in. It's very user friendly. Well, and I'm not very good at these, so sometimes this takes me a couple of tries. My eyesight isn't what it once used to be. I don't know if that's a bridge or not. Try it. Aha, I got it. Okay, so this is the verification of your registration. So here you can verify that you are registered at the proper address. If for some reason this isn't correct, you can update at this point. But I want you to know it's not something that's instantaneous. So I'm going to show you what this page looks like. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'll give you just a sneak peek so we can move forward with the filing. If I were to hit update here, this is actually going to take me to the online voter registration portal. And so what you would do, and to use this portal, you actually have to have a Washington State driver's license or ID, because here, I'm going to show you the first page of this portal here. So it's the same as a voter registration, but it's just done via the online portal. And it does ask some questions like, the Washington driver's ID issue date. So you have to have it with you. And also we use this signature to help us with when we're approving ballots. So I'm going to go ahead and just back out of here real quick. And if you were to do that, just note that you're going to want to contact our office during business hours so we can actually process that update before you can continue with your filing. Okay. But most of you, you know what you're doing, you're ready. So you know you're going to be in there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just say, yes, this is me. This is where I live. And you can see here that Emmett hasn't filed for office yet. So he wants to create a new filing. And here, this is where the districts that he is tied to be able to file for. So we're going to go for city and town. And you'll notice here that we've got the municipal court judge. This is actually a countywide filing, but voted on only in the city of Olympia. And there's multiple lines in here because, like I said, this is a test environment. So we do a lot of testing in here. So again, pay attention to the position numbers. You want to really ensure that you file for the right position number, because if you have to withdraw, that filing fee is non-refundable. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to file Emmett here. Let's just choose council position number 4, because I want you to be able to see the payment screen is why I'm wanting to do an office with a filing fee. So here, you're going to enter in your information. Fairly easy. So this is the contact information, ballot name. So Emmett, even though he's registered without the apostrophe, he really wants the apostrophe on his ballot. So that's fine. So this is a place where you're doing your ballot name. So if you're a William and you go by Bill, you can put Bill O'Connell here. That's perfectly fine. You just can't use any identifiers like doctor or things of that nature. Here's that campaign contact information. Again, this is if you have something different for your campaign, you would want to use that information here. If you don't use this information, the information provided over here is public information, and that will be utilized for people to contact you. Same thing, campaign email or campaign address. You don't have to have one, so I don't have one, so I'm just going to click this little button here. It says use address on file. And it's just going to automatically populate it for me. And then I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next step by hitting continue. And so here we have a summary. Again, it's reminding you here that fees are non-refundable, and it's giving you office information here and then all of the contact information. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and again, even though this is a little misleading here where it says private, it's not. It is public information because this is actually your declaration of candidacy, which is public information. So we're going to go ahead and continue here. And this is the declaration that if you're doing a paper form, you're going to sign. But since you're doing it at home with your coffee in hand and maybe your slippers on, you can just go ahead and we'll read that oath, and you'll click here that you affirm the oath and that you do wish to file. And here is the payment. So if you're paying by credit card because you don't want to make an extra trip into us, this is where you'll enter that information and just simply click submit and pay here. If you want to do cash or check, that's fine. So it's a little small, but it's right here. So just click or pay by cash or check, and then it's going to give you that same notice. It's got to be to us by the end of, in order to accept your filing, we have to have that payment. So I'm just going to finish up. I'm going to submit and pay later. And that is it. You have just sent your declaration of candidacy to our office. One of the really neat things about filing using this candidate online portal is that you get email notification from us. It takes usually about 15 minutes for the email to actually queue and send, but you're going to get an email from us that says that your ballot declaration has been received. You're going to get an email when we approve your declaration, as well as you'll also get an email when candidates file against you. And then you'll also get email with that personalized link that takes you to your candidate portal. So I want to show the voter submission portal. So I'm just going to show you an example of the email. So this is the please submit your local voters pamphlet profile. And again, you should get this about 15 minutes after we've approved yours. So keep in mind, we're only going to be making those approvals throughout our normal business hours. And so this here is the link that takes you to your personal candidate voter submission tool. And then it gives you some information. There's a link here to those candidate guidelines that talk about just what the voter statements and photos are. And it's I don't know, I think it's about 6-page document. So you may want to view that guideline. That's a really good tool as well outside of the candidate guideline that Jamie went over. Yep.
We had a couple quick questions in chat, if you wouldn't mind, if this is a good point. Somebody asked, can you add credentials behind your name when you're filing?
No, you cannot have credentials for your ballot name. No, you're not allowed to have credentials.
Okay, and then there was another one. Somebody asked, can someone run for more than one position?
No, not this year. You're only allowed to run for one position at a time. The only time that you would be able to do that would be, say, the precinct committee officers were on the ballot. This is the email for the voter pamphlet submission. And this right here is that unique link that I'm going to pull up here in just a moment to where, and when you don't have to do this right away. I mean, you want to make sure that you have your information ready to go so you can just easily enter the information into this portal. So we're finished here. So you can simply log out at this point, or you can go back to the candidate portal if for some reason you want to make sure that, yes, you can see that I submitted it. I've got my ballot name here and that it is pending payment, you'll see here. And then I'm just going to simply log out when you're done. And it takes you back to the landing page here. So next I'm going to go ahead, and this is that unique link to be able to upload your photo and your statement. And you can see down here, this will be your information will show up here. So I would suggest if you can take the time to prepare your elected experience and your statements maybe in a Word document, so you can simply do some cutting and pasting to make it a little bit easier. But you don't have to do that. That's just one. I'm going to do that today just for the simple of it'll be quicker for the presentation. So first, you can choose to not submit a photo if you do not want to. So if you choose you do not submit a photo, what will appear in a pamphlet is this little shadow box with a silhouette where it simply says no photo was submitted. So, but I'm going to go ahead and upload a photo so I can show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to hit this browse button right here. And here's Emmett's picture. Not really, but so you can see. Okay, I got to do another security check here. Yes, I'm human. Please consider containing a vote. Vote. Can't tell what that is. Nope. Vote. So bad at these. It's embarrassing. Is that a vote? Okay. So, and there is a photo of Samuel Thurston. I think it's a little older than 5 years, but anyways. Okay, so now Jamie talked about the 100-word biography split between the 4 categories of elected.
Sorry, Lynette, can we ask a question about the photo?
Yes.
So the question was asked, said, thank you, this is a very helpful refresher. Can you remind us if there are rules about what can and cannot be displayed in the photo, like the background and stuff?
Yeah, Jamie had made mention to that, is that, yeah, we ask for just a plain background. We don't want to have, group photos or a bunch of flowers behind you. You don't want to use props like judicial robes or, anything like that that notes that you may hold an elected office. Is that enough? It's just because, and you want to do a lighter contrast behind you, and you can have it professionally done, or any more cell phone cameras have got some great pixels, right? So you could have, and you just want it to be neutral and kind of light, because if you have a really dark background, because we convert your photo to black and white and crop it in order to have it be in the pamphlet, because we do not print in color. So you want something light so we can see you, and you're not just really dark and shadowed.
Yeah, sorry, all joking aside, the photo of Samuel Thurston is actually kind of exactly what we're looking for. Head and shoulders, looking right at the camera, light background. It needs to be a certain size, 1500 pixels by 1200 pixels and 300 DPI. But if you're taking it with a cell phone camera that's from the last, I would say 5 years, it's probably going to be plenty big enough.
Okay, so was there any other questions, Carissa?
Nope, that was it for now.
That was it for now. And I apologize. I forgot to introduce. I have Stu Jensen here. I just realized this. I apologize, Stu. I'll introduce you again when I'm done with this presentation. But I have Stu Jensen with me from the Secretary of State's office, and he's the candidate filing program specialist. So if there's some questions that I need help on, he's here to be able to answer those for me as well. So just so you know. So the 100-word biography is split up between elected experience, other professional experience, education, and community service. And so what I've got here is I have a statement from a candidate who ran last year in the general election. And so when you're copying and pasting from a Word document, you want to use the Control-C and Control-V. So Control-C to copy, and you need to use the Control-V in this submission tool to pop up this box, and then a Control-V to paste. And so then again, once you've done that, you just simply hit paste here, and it's going to populate this. Now watch what happens when I tab out of there. So when I tab out of there, it shows that I only have 94 words remaining. It's a really neat tool. If you want to type in here, you can. You want to type your test, and as you watch, as I'm typing, you see my candidate words going down, right? So it's a pretty neat tool. But I'm just, for ease of speed tonight, I'm just going to be doing copying, pasting, Control-C, click in here, hit Control-V. I have to hit Control-V again and paste. Once I tab out, I only have 40 words remaining. Education. And you don't have to put something in all 4 of these. If you only want to put something in 2 of the categories, the category that you didn't enter information is, we're just going to put no information submitted. So if you want to really, I want to do 50 words of these 2 because it's important, that's up to you. You split them up however you want. And Control-V, Control-V, Control-V. And another thing that might be beneficial here, let me just get my statement in here, and I'll talk about what might be useful for you using a Word document. So one thing to note here, so for the candidate statement, you're going to want to indicate where you want your paragraphs. You can have up to 4 paragraphs here. And when I copy and pasted it, it didn't keep my paragraph breaks. So once I pasted this in here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, I want to have a break here, right? And I want to break under residence. And I want to break under intact groundwater. Okay. So that's important. And and if you forget to do that, don't worry. We're going to reach out to you and say, this all came in and we notice it's all one block statement. Did you mean to have paragraphs in there? So with that, I've got all of my information submitted. I actually have 2 words remaining. But another benefit of doing it on a Word document is you can use reading software. So it'll help you with sometimes when someone put Google instead of, they did Google instead of Google.com or something of that nature. And you may just read over something like that. And if you do it in a Word document, you can use reading software. So it'll actually read your statement back to you, which might help you catch some things. So since we don't do punctuation or grammar for you. So what you're going to want to do now is you just want to look at everything here. Does this look right? I see all of my stuff. It's in the sections. Oh, I've got my 4 paragraphs. You want to just take a minute to make sure you really like the way this looks, because once you hit this submit button, your statement has been submitted. And so I'm going to go ahead and commit my submit. This takes a minute. All it would have happened was it's supposed to say that I'm going to stop sharing now. So what it's supposed to say there is that your statement has been submitted. And then you're going to also get an email that says it's been submitted. You're going to get an email when we approve it. And then you'll know you're good to go. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you very much. And I'd like to introduce Scott Healey from the Public Disclosure Commission.
Hi, I'm Scott Healey. I'm a filer assistant specialist at the Public Disclosure Commission. Thanks for inviting me to be here. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what documents a candidate has to file to my agency. Depending on what office you're running for, you may have to file documents with the Public Disclosure Commission. That kicks in 2 weeks after you become a candidate that's due. So I want to talk about what legally means when you becoming a candidate means. If you raise or spend money for your campaign, then you're a candidate. If you reserve space or purchase advertising for an election campaign, you're a candidate. If you authorize someone to do one of those things, if you make a public statement that you're running for office, then you're officially a candidate and the 2-week clock starts ticking. Or a lot of campaigns start, people haven't done any of these things when they file their declaration of candidacy in May, then you are officially a candidate. Now, it can happen that some people who plan ahead might become a candidate even a couple of years before they, even a couple of years before the election in some cases, if they've done one of these things, if they start raising money or if they just publicly announce that they're a candidate, then they're filing, then they will need to register with the PDC. And then can I get the next slide, please? Okay, what you have to file with PDC when you become a candidate depends on what office you're seeking. By the way, I should mention that somebody mentioned cemetery district commissioners earlier. Cemetery district commissioners don't have to file anything with us. They made an exception for them. But basically, it's a function of how many registered voters are in the jurisdiction where you're seeking office. And jurisdiction means if you're running for a city office, that's the whole city. If you're running for office in a school district, that's all the registered voters in that entire school district, like that. If you're running in a jurisdiction with under 2,000 registered voters and you intend to raise less than $5,000 in the campaign, which is normal for a jurisdiction of under 2,000 registered voters, you have no reporting requirement with the Public Disclosure Commission. Don't have to send anything to us. If you're in a jurisdiction, if you're seeking office in a jurisdiction of 2,000 or more registered voters and you intend to raise less than $5,000 on your race, then you need to file, it's called an F1 Personal Financial Affairs Statement. That's a form that lists, it's about the candidate's own personal finances and that of their spouse or registered domestic partner. And in some cases, they might have to report on the finances of a dependent. That's less common, but it's a personal financial affairs statement. You list your sources of income during the reporting period of the F1, which for a new candidate is going to be the year up to the time that they became a candidate. You need to know, their sources of income, their bank accounts, if they're over $2,400, they have, $24,000 for a bank account. Investment accounts, retirement accounts, if they're over $2,400, do they own real estate in Washington State? That kind of thing. Okay, if you're in a jurisdiction of 5,000 or more registered voters, you have to do that F1 Personal Financial Affairs Statement and also a C1 candidate registration. You're just reporting to Public Disclosure Commission that you are a candidate, letting us know what office you're running for, who your treasurer is, who your political committee officers are for your election campaign, that kind of thing. I do want to mention, if you're running for office and you already hold office, like if you're running for re-election, people who hold office already have to do that F1 Personal Financial Affairs Statement on an annual basis. It's due, for every calendar year, you file the F1, it's due by April 15th. So if you're already holding office and you decide to run for office or run for re-election, you don't have to send us another F1 Personal Financial Affairs Statement if you've already filed one this calendar year. Okay, can I get the next slide, please? Okay, if you're a candidate who has to do that C1 candidate registration, like I said, if you're running in a jurisdiction of more than 5,000 registered voters, then you'll have to file that. Or if you intend to spend more than $5,000 on your election campaign. The one question on that C1 candidate registration is, are you going to be mini reporting or full reporting? You can choose the mini reporting option if you intend to spend on your campaign no more than raise and spend on your campaign no more than $5,000 plus. If there's a filing fee for your position, it'll be $5,000 plus that filing fee. And if you're mini reporting, you can accept no more than $500 in contribution from any one donor to your campaign. The exception there is the candidate themselves can donate more than that to their own campaign. When we talk about the limit of $5,000 plus filing fee, that includes money that the candidate might donate to their own campaign and money that the candidate might spend on their own campaign. That's considered, if you were to go out and purchase something for your own campaign, that's what we call an in-kind contribution to your own campaign. Same thing if somebody else buys something for you instead of giving you cash. Yeah, that all goes toward that limitation of $5,000 plus filing fee. If you choose the mini reporting option, that means the only reports you have to send to the Public Disclosure Commission about your campaign are the C1 candidate registration and that F1 personal financial affairs statement if you haven't already filed one of those. You don't have to do the reports of contributions and expenditures to your campaign. I should mention the F1 and the C1 forms are online forms. You do those through the Public Disclosure Commission's website. Okay, can I get the next slide, please? Okay, if you don't choose the mini reporting option on your C1 candidate registration, the other option to go with is the full reporting option. If you expect to spend more than $5,000 on your campaign, or if you want to accept more than $500 from a donor other than the candidate, then you need to pick that full reporting option. If you pick the full reporting option, then you'll have to send us C3 reports regularly. The C3 report is a report of money coming into the campaign. You send whenever you do a bank deposit, whenever money goes into the campaign bank account, either whether somebody's deposited a check or whether money went in through electronic funds transfer, you do a C3 report. C3 reports list if the donor has given more than $25 in total to your campaign, you list you report the name and address of the person, of the donor. If the donor is an individual person and that person has donated more than $100 in aggregate to your campaign, then you also have to report their employer information, what their occupation is, who their employer is, and the name and address of the employer. And then you also have to file C4 reports. The C4 report is a financial summary of your campaign. It shows the money coming in and the money going out. Then the backup pages to the C4 report your expenditures. You say, what you've been spending your campaign contributions on. And also on the C4 report is where you would report in-kind contributions your campaign's received. That's when somebody donates something to your campaign other than money. Okay, can I get the next slide, please? Okay, this is something that's available from our Public Disclosure Commission website. This is our handy chart of contribution limits. Depending on what office you're running for, there'll be limits on how much someone is allowed to donate to your campaign. These don't apply to the candidate donating to their own campaign, but if someone else donates, for example, you see the row there for local offices, county county positions, running for mayor, city council, school board. The contribution limit for an individual person is $1,000 per election. That means an individual person donating to the campaign could donate $1,000 for the primary, if you're going to be on the primary ballot, and then they could donate another $1,000 for the general election. Same thing, the column next to that says PACs, unions, corps, and other entities. That includes contributions from a business. Business could donate, depending on what you're doing. You note for judicial candidates, it says $2,000 for election. Somebody's running for judge, a business or an individual person could donate $2,000 to them for the primary, if they're on the primary ballot, and then another $2,000 for the general election. You notice over on the left side of this, chart, you got the contribution limits from the state party, the county and legislative district party committee, or caucus political committees. The county and legislative district party actually share a contribution limit. For candidates, that's based on the number of registered voters in your jurisdiction. If the state party could donate to your campaign, if you're running for mayor, for example, $1 per registered voter per cycle. Per cycle means the cycle starts on January 1st after the last election for your office, and then it continues through December 31st after the election. And so some of these things, like your filing requirement, which your filing requirement may depend on the number of registered voters in the jurisdiction, and your contribution limits. If you want to get a contribution from the party, that could depend on the number of registered voters. If you're not sure how many registered voters are in your jurisdiction, we have that information for some jurisdictions on our website. And if you don't find it there, you can contact us, call us or email us. We have that information about how many registered voters are in your jurisdiction. Okay, can I see the next slide, please? Okay, there's a schedule you have to follow. This is another thing that's available from the PDC website. It's the key reporting dates for candidates. Early on in the campaign, those C4 reports that I was talking about, those are monthly reports. They cover earlier in your campaign. A C4 report will cover 1 month of time, and it'll usually be due on the 10th of the following month. If the 10th of the month is on a weekend or holiday, we'll bump it up to the next working day. And early in the campaign, the C3 reports, the reports of contributions coming in, those are due when the C4 reports are due. Starting in June, the C3 reports go to a weekly basis. If money comes into your campaign bank account, you need to send us the C3 report to report that. You send us a C3 report to report the money coming in. Those start being due on the Monday after the money goes into the campaign bank account. So the C3 reports go to a weekly schedule. The C4 reports, you get into some special reporting periods as you get closer to the election. If you see on this chart, there's on July 13th, the 21-day pre-primary C4 report is due. And then on July 27th, the 7-day pre-primary C4 report is due. So we get for the primary and the general election, you got the special pre and post election reporting periods. Now, these reports, the C3 and the C4 report, need to be filed to the Public Disclosure Commission electronically. We have special filing software that you can use. It's called the Orca filing software. It's available for free download from the Public Disclosure Commission's website. And get that in, install it on your computer, and report that way. If you would rather not use the filing software that we provide, there's also some private companies that have alternative filing software that you can use. You can hire them, and work with them to get your reports filed. I should mention for people who may be familiar with the Orca filing software, you're going to see some changes as of next week on the 27th. We got a big upgrade to our Orca filing software. It's going to function about the same, but it's going to look different. You're going to see it's going to be easier for you to access. Instead of going up in the top and clicking on some headings to find the place where it says, enter a contribution or enter an expenditure, the functions to do those things are more front and center. It's just better looking software. I think you should be pretty pleased with it. Okay, can I get the next slide, please? Okay, so if you want to contact our PDC, the Public Disclosure Commission, about anything, our website is www.pdc.wa.gov. That's where you can get the Orca filing software I was just talking about. We've got guidebooks there. We've got training videos there. We've got a feature resources for you. Our email address is pdc@pdc.wa.gov, and we've got a phone number there, 800 number or regular 360 area code number for you. We're available 5 days a week, usually 8 to 5. People like me are available there to talk to you. I've got a question here about someone filling a position temporarily. If it's a position that's required to file that F1 personal financial affairs statement, if you're taking on that position temporarily, then you should file that F1 personal financial affairs statement. If it's something you've been appointed to, then you should get that to us within 2 weeks of being appointed. And if you're not sure whether the position you're holding is one that's required to file the F1 form, contact the agency. We can help you work that out.
We did have one more question submitted. Charlene was asking, is there still a fee if you are appointed to a position?
The filing fee is, if you want to file for that office for this coming election and there's a filing fee, you would have to pay the filing fee at the time that you filed. You don't have to file anything when you're appointed. It's just if you're going to run again. Okay, well, I guess with that, Carissa, did you want to put our contact information real quick in the chat one last time in case everybody wants to just make a copy of it real quick? Or it's just easy. You can always just give us a call. We have people manning the phones when we're open from 8 to 4:30. You're gonna get a live person unless we're all on the phone, right? So if we're all on the phone, leave a message. I promise we'll call you right back. So we really value giving great customer service, and we're here for you for all your questions. And we just really like to help out. So please don't hesitate to give us a call.
Absolutely. Reach out to us.
Aren't they amazing? I have an amazing team. And they're serious. We are here for you. You're our customers. So please reach out anytime you have questions, and it doesn't matter how trivial you think the question is, we're here to serve you.
Okay, well, I guess if there's no more questions, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. You all take care and be safe.
Thank you.